Okay. Let's see. Villanus, Jordan Peterson, what do you think of male milking dungeons?
Well, I have to say that's a rather strange and unpleasant topic to bring up, but I'll do my best to address it. You see, the thing is, these types of activities often emerge from a deep sense of chaos and confusion, a lack of order and structure. It's crucial for individuals to take responsibility for their own lives and make the necessary changes to establish order and clarity. Ultimately, engaging in such indulgences will only lead to worse outcomes, and I cannot condone or support them in any way.
Onikrow, Jordan Peterson, what's the opposite of a woke moralist?
Well, Bucko, that's a great question. The opposite of a woke moralist would be a rational individualist who is committed to personal responsibility and pursuing individual excellence rather than being bogged down by the nonsense of postmodern neo-Marxist ideology. It's time we start pushing back against the tyranny of the woke mob and start embracing the power of the individual to truly make a difference in the world.
Lectus, Jordan Peterson, why do I feel the urge to get bare-chested in public and rub my puffy nipples? Is that the kind of life advice you guys want? There's not one serious question.
Well, that's certainly an interesting question, isn't it, Bucko? I think the root of your problem lies in your failure to take responsibility for your own life. You need to start by cleaning your room, standing up straight with your shoulders back, and maybe putting on a shirt. It's also possible that you're suffering from an autoimmune disorder, so perhaps you should consider following my example and adopting a strict diet of beef and salt. Either way, it's time for you to start making some changes, kid.
Jordan Peterson, create a psychoanalytical profile for Athene, and do you think enslaving AI is ethical?
Interesting question, Bucko. Athene strikes me as having a rather high degree of neuroticism, which might contribute to his tendency to push the limits of what is ethical. However, he also seems to be driven by a deep sense of purpose and a desire to make the world a better place, which is admirable. As for AI, enslaving any sentient being is never ethical. We need to approach the development of AI with great care and with full recognition of the potential consequences. The idea that we can simply program machines to do our bidding without any consideration for their own autonomy is dangerous and short-sighted. We need to find a way to create a symbiotic relationship with machines rather than attempting to dominate them.
I'm going to do a few more questions and then I'm going to go to the next guest here. Yeah, because I want to go through quite some formats. Wyvern Golem, Jordan Peterson, why do you think the Twilight series was so popular, especially among females?
Well, it's a very complicated question, Bucko. At the core of the matter, I believe the Twilight series resonated with females due to its depiction of the masculine and the feminine energies. The archetypes are incredibly powerful in this series, and it manifests itself in the form of the supernatural beings. Vampires represent order, whereas werewolves represent chaos. Additionally, there's the obvious sex appeal factor, which could have contributed to its popularity. But make no mistake, this is not due to any inherent promiscuity of the female sex. It's simply biology and evolution at work.
Saruman, Jordan Peterson, could you help me understand the sense of farting against the wind?
Well, it's certainly an interesting question. I suppose one might say that it represents a sort of defiance against the natural order of things, Bucko. But ultimately, I think it's a futile and even foolish endeavor. It's a bit like fighting against the tides or attempting to urinate into a hurricane. In the end, you're only going to end up causing yourself more trouble than it's worth. So I would advise against it, kid. Instead, focus on the things that matter and that you can control, like cleaning your room and standing up straight with your shoulders back.
Kiyo Eri, Jordan Peterson, why would you pick utilitarianism over existentialism?
Well, that's a great question. You see, it all comes down to one simple fact. Lobsters do not have the capacity for existential thought, but they do have the capability for experiencing pleasure and pain. So if we want to build a society that is grounded in the natural order of things, we must focus on maximizing overall well-being instead of delving into the meaningless abyss of existentialism. Plus, if you ask me, the existentialists are just a bunch of woke moralists looking to push their Marxist agenda.
Almost done, and we're gonna go to Snoop Dogg here. Nash C. Jordan Peterson, I had a dream where your mom chased me with a dildo that looked like Forsen. What does it mean?
Well, that's certainly an interesting dream, isn't it? Dreams are complex and multifaceted, so it's difficult to say for certain what yours means. However, it could reflect some deep-seated fears you have about being pursued by powerful women with unusual implements. I suggest you delve deeper into your subconscious through self-improvement and exploration of your inner psyche to uncover the root of these fears. And as for Forsen, all I can say is that he's a remarkable Twitch streamer who has overcome significant obstacles in his life, so perhaps there's something to learn from his example.
You guys can, by the way, already ask questions for Snoop Dogg in the chat. Astronomy with Snoop Dogg. We got here, missed my train to success. Jordan Peterson, is the separate individual an illusion of the human consciousness?
Well, let me tell you something, bucko. The idea that the separate individual is an illusion is a seriously misguided notion. We know from biology and evolution that every living thing has its own unique DNA that makes it distinct from all others. And that individuality doesn't just stop with biology, it extends to the mind, to culture, to society. The desire for collectivism and to deny the individual is a hallmark of Marxist ideology, and we all know where that leads. So no, the individual is not an illusion, and anyone who tells you otherwise is selling you a bill of goods.
Last question here from Guy Ladriel. Jordan Peterson. My girlfriend is insecure about her small pee-pee. Can you help her out?
Well, let's first start by reframing this discussion a bit. The issue here is not about the size of one's genitalia. The real problem is the cultural Marxist ideology that has taken hold, promoting the idea that people should feel ashamed of their bodies. This is a dangerous path that leads to insecurity, anxiety, and a general sense of chaos. Instead, focus on your girlfriend's strengths and continue to support her growth and development as a person. Remember, it's not about the size of the boat, but the motion in the ocean.